Welcome to Obscured Reality with Mark and Stephanie. From UFO sightings to the lost city of Atlantis, from alien encounters to the living dead, each episode will leave you questioning reality. If you're ready to explore the eerie, tune in to Obscured Reality, where mysteries come alive.
Obscured Reality. It's back with Mark and Stephanie. How's it hanging tonight, Stephanie?
It's hanging. It's Tuesday night. It feels like a Monday though. It really feels like a Monday.
It's hanging like a sack in a Phoenix Lights picture.
Oh Lord.
Oh boy. All right, we're gonna change it up a little bit tonight, guys. You guys all know him. You love him. He's your biggest hairy friend. His name? Bigfoot. We got another Provo, Utah Bigfoot story for you tonight. However, this isn't something recent. I mean, it's not too old, I guess. Okay. But it's not like it just happened yesterday. But that's fine. We have a video for you, too. First, though, we're going to go ahead and go through a little bit of this article. We're going to keep it a little short. There's a lot of blah in the news article. Well, in the article. I am taking this article from Gaia, as you can see on the screen there. I believe it may be elsewhere as well. This article is showing April 5th, 2019. All right. So here's a photo, and we will be playing a video after we're done here. And in the middle, you see what is allegedly being considered a Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. Well, let's read. So the video, shaky and brief, showing a tall, dark figure lumbering up a mountainside. But given the weather conditions, altitude, and the figure's stride, Tanner Hargis, his recent video of an alleged Bigfoot is bizarre and one of the more convincing ones we've seen lately. Now, as you know, we did a somewhat recent episode on Bigfoot sightings in Provo that were not old. They had just happened. And they had video taken from a train. And this train goes through this canyon in the mountains. And then it just so happens to turn out that in that area, people would go out in Bigfoot suits or similar and wait for the damn trains to come and hike up. It wasn't far from the highway or the main road. They'd park there, go out there and wait for the trains and make a spectacle of themselves, and people do what people did and post videos and say, oh my God, Bigfoot's real. And then it comes out, well, no, there's a history of people around right here.
April Fools.
Now, I don't know if this is the same area because I don't recall where that area was. I could probably go look it up. But it was, still Provo. Mm-hmm. So a few weeks ago, as of 2019, Hargis and friends were using a portable spotting scope to observe areas around Lone Peak in the Wasatch Mountain Range just outside of Provo when they noticed the figure slogging up the mountain. Pointing a video camera through the lens of his scope, he captured the entity on film and quickly submitted it to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization, a website that gathers extensive videos and photographic evidence of Bigfoot sightings. Here's a quote. I think I have captured a video of a Sasquatch March 23rd, 2019 at around 10:30 a.m. It was up on Wasatch Range near Lone Peak. It was high up to where I don't think any man will hike up it. I think it's something to check into. Let's continue here. So this was pretty close to a previous sighting in the area, which may have been the ones we were referencing with the trains. This latest sighting shows a figure appearing to be somewhere in the range of 8 feet tall, seen through the lens of a spotting scope, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't really matter there. I had a hard time keeping it focused there. The bipedal entity in the video can be seen trudging up the crest of the mountaintop in the midst of a snowstorm at an elevation of nearly 9,000 feet. According to Hargis, it would be rare to see a human hiking at that altitude in those conditions by themselves. I don't necessarily disagree. When we go look at this and watch the video, yeah, it looks pretty steep, and that would be difficult in snow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the vast majority of those who responded in the YouTube comments section seem to believe that the video is solid evidence of the Utah Sasquatch, though a few skeptics bring up valid contradictory points. Typical. Namely, that Lone Peak is hiked by skiers, snowboarders, and hikers with snowshoes during the winter. But despite the blurred distant footage, it's hard to make out the gear one would expect to see, as one would expect the figure to walk with a different gait if it were wearing snowshoes. Also, there seems to be a lack of any gear strapped to its back. So, for now, Hargis and friends say they'll keep their eyes peeled for another sighting or any other evidence to support their claims. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Very cool.
What do you think so far? We're going to get into the video next year.
I mean, yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
idea
Mm-hmm.
of catching someone by themselves randomly hiking up there, it doesn't sound safe to be doing something like that alone.
Well,
But then again, I'm not an avid hiker. And also
yeah,
people do climb the north face of fucking Everest. So that is probably a walk in a park for someone who does hike in the snow a lot on higher peaks. So that's probably
right.
just a day in the park for them. But
Well, I think the main contradictory point here is that this thing's going up the
Yeah.
mountain. It's very steep,
Yeah.
going up 9,000 feet in the
not
middle of a
having a lot of
snowstorm.
in the middle of a snowstorm. Yeah, with no
Yeah.
obvious equipment. Yeah. If it was
Yeah.
any other conditions than that, I would be like, but I mean, put in those conditions and not your average person would be out there. So I mean it does
Right.
bring a to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, let's take a look at the video and then we'll get back to our opinions and see what we think here. Let's see. Let me bring that up right now. All right, so here we go. I don't know if there's audio. I didn't listen to this. It doesn't really matter if there's audio. I'm just going to go ahead and mute it.
Okay, I was
just in
gonna say,
case.
I'm just go ahead and turn my volume down real fast.
Yeah, it's not going to matter if there's audio on this. But let's hit play and see what we don't have. There we go. It's short too, about a minute and a half. So these are just zoomed in shots. We're going to get to the video here. Clearly you can see the weather and you can see it moving. You can see the weather moving. I don't see a Bigfoot yet or a being, but we're getting there. Kind of see him down there, it looks like, just at the bottom of the fog, clouds, whatever. Ooh, what's that? Let's zoom in on it. Now they're going to crop it. So same video, it's cropped. They're zooming in basically with the post-processing here.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're at a pretty good distance. So it's really hard to make out anything if this thing's walking up or not. I want to know where the longer video is. Why are we only seeing this short piece? And I'll tell you why I say that in a minute. It clearly is moving, but doesn't look like it's doing much. Yeah. Cool. Video's done. Now, there was a lot more to this video, and I just skimmed through the whole thing because what it was just them scoping out the whole mountainside. They're just zoomed in really far with amazingly better quality than that, which is weird. And that's all they're doing the whole video. They're just kind of zooming in over here, zooming in over there, looking. I don't know what they're doing. The article obviously doesn't say, but they're just looking, and yeah, I can see that'd be interesting from time to time, but they're really not doing anything, and they happen to see this. Now, I'm just going to keep this up on screen for you guys. I'm going to keep replaying it while we're talking. Um, they're at a very far distance, right?
Oh
And he's
yeah.
using this telescope that he's able to put a camera up to get, shots and videos. Um, you know, let me go back here. Right. We're going to pause this. I thought there was a better shot than that. So, how do you make anything out on this? Now, if he's sitting there zoomed in and he's telescope still and he's just keeping his head up to it and he's not touching it, he could probably get a very good reference of which direction this thing's moving, which was uphill. But it's kind of hard to tell that the thing's got snowshoes on or doesn't.
Or doesn't have
However,
any gear.
yeah, well, however, going up that mountain, if it really is, with snowshoes on, I would expect the thing's probably walking sideways, right? Snowshoes are long out in front of you. So you're going to turn sideways. It's a steep mountain and foot up, like a crab is my guess. I've never snowshoed. I don't really care to. But I'll tell you,
Usually you would walk duck foot in snowshoes.
I've walked into the ocean a million times with fins on, and walking forward does not work. You walk basically backwards. However, snowshoes, you probably wouldn't be able to walk backwards. You'd have to kind of do a crab walk. You'd have to kind of go sideways, is my guess. If any of you out there know, comment, let us know. But, just using a little bit of common sense here, that's what I would think. Now, this is the only portion of the entire video that has this thing in it. It's a minute and a half long. So how long were they really watching this thing for? Because who's to say someone wasn't out there camping off in the distance some other way direction, and maybe they're going for a stroll to go hunting. And to the point you brought up as well, how the hell can you tell if that thing has anything on its back or not?
Yeah.
You can't tell anything from that. Yeah. And, even if he had some type of large backpack on, he's probably going to have it covered in something to keep it dry because of that weather. Keep the snow from getting in the zippers or inside or anything, so nothing gets wet. Who's to say this thing has any gear? If it's a person camping out there somewhere nearby, I mean, you look, there's some canyons there. Maybe he's like, woke up and that day he's going to try and get to the top of the mountain. It's going to suck, but guy's probably a bear himself. This is probably what he does,
I mean,
right? He's probably a mountain dude.
laughing because I absolutely agree in the fact that he's probably a bear in the most literal sense. That's funny.
And what else is interesting? You almost, it kind of looks like, let me back up right here. Look at right about, oh geez, of course. Now I don't even see it now. Maybe it's when he zooms in. Let's see what happens when he zooms in here. Okay, so I could be totally wrong. This could very easily just be the trees screwing with my eyes. But right here where the mouse is, these two little lines going up right there next to each other. They mentioned it's a popular skiing area. Now, I don't know if there's a ski lift or anything, but, possibly it looks like power lines. I could be totally wrong. It's probably the trees screwing with my eyes, but, I kind of, each time I've rewatched this video, that has stuck out to me every time. And I'm not saying that's what it is. It could just be, right there. You can see it right here. There's something that just clearly stands out.
Okay.
And that could just be, you see these trees right here, bushes or whatever they are, and they're dark. And then this could easily just be some more right here that are dark, and then some more up in here that are dark, and it just kind of blends. but each time I watch it, my eyes just go straight there. The video's not long, and it's not long enough. We need a longer video of this thing only, and this guy needs to, if he's not using a tripod, it needs to be. And for any of you out there doing this stuff, you can get some types of gimbals that go on there, so you can use a motorized gimbal. You can use a remote to just move that camera so it's nice and steady. You don't have the jerky BS going on.
Mm-hmm.
Spend the money on that, especially if you're doing this stuff. It'd be so helpful, man. Especially when you're seeing things that you think are Bigfoot. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Let's see again here. You see
have my opinion.
You see those trees down there, the bushes, and they just stand out like a sore thumb to me. But it's hard to tell that this thing's doing anything at all. You can see some movement, but they're so far away. If he is going up the hill, that could be hard to tell from that distance. It's very, moving slow, whatever the hell it is.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, the distance, who knows? Obviously, it's not a bear, but they need to run that through a program and get that shake off there. So, what do you think, Stephanie? I'm going to kill the video here unless you need it up still.
Nope. I absolutely believe that is a hiker, a hunter, a hiker, something like that. Yep. A mountain man of a sort, yes. Because they exist. Yeah. They absolutely fucking exist. There's literal TV shows about them. But
when I say mountain man, just to be clear, for me, what I'm referencing is someone that lives out there, someone that does this shit all the time. Like they have a house, a cabin, even if it's a little shack. But they're like, I'm going hunting with my arrow today, not my bow and my arrow.
That's what I mean as well. That's
I'm throwing my fucking arrow to kill the bear.
If you've seen the show Life Below Zero, there is a gentleman on there who lives literally, he has someone now. But for the longest time, for the first couple of seasons, he was by himself, like Anthony Villanova or something like that. But he literally is the epitome of a mountain man. Like, it's just him. He lives off of a frozen lake. He has to drag his kills all the way back to his place and strip it and hang it from bears and wolves. Like, he's legit. So people like that exist all over the place. This very well could have been someone. And just to clarify, when you walk in snowshoes up a hill, you don't walk sideways. You stick them bitches straight into the snow and walk up, because they're not like fins where it's just the front.
Poles.
Pretty much, yeah. When you're going up a hill, but other than that, you're still flat foot. But it's because they take up the entirety around your foot, not just the forward part of it.
They stick out to the sides.
Yeah, so you can't really walk sideways in it very well. So you have to, even going up a hill, you have to like basically like how ice shoes kind of stick into the fucking ice. You have to do the same thing with the snowshoes.
Makes total sense to me.
But
makes more sense.
I think it's just a mountain man who just got stuck in some shitty weather.
Yeah, I don't know if he even got stuck.
Fair.
Probably just, I mean, honestly, you're not given too much context on the area, what's around there, if anything. We don't know if there's some homes out there, some cabins, a tiny, tiny little town. We don't know if there's a nearby road. Obviously, there's a road where these guys are at. They came in from somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know. And that's the thing. A lot of these videos that are very unconvincing, they lack so much detail. Now you look at the opposite of it, like the Phoenix Lights, which will be posted up at some point if it's not already. We watched a 15-minute interview with the Lay family, and the father went into great detail on exactly what they saw and what's around there, where they're at, their elevation compared to the city of Phoenix, blah, 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 all this stuff. But here you get, this mountain's about 9,000 feet. This thing's walking up in a snowstorm We don't see any gear on it. We don't see any snowshoes, all this shit. And maybe they had a clearer view than that camera is showing us. I don't think so, because I saw other portions of the video and it's very clear. There's almost a distortion in there. It's weird. It's really weird, but it's a fairly clear video. Now, they did have to zoom in quite far to try and pick that thing up, which they didn't necessarily do with the telescope. That was cropping. That was after the fact. I don't know about you, but I am 100% convinced that's not a fucking Bigfoot. It's a person, man.
Yes. Absolutely.
Quite possibly a friend of theirs. It's a thing, guys. It's a big rumor with the Patterson Gimlin film. So just a setup, or just someone else out there, and from that distance it looks odd. But like I said, who knows? Maybe they had a much clearer view, and maybe they had something more powerful to look at this thing with, and they could clearly see it didn't have any type of backpack or gear, snowshoes. Who knows? I would fully expect this person to have some type of hiking poles going up that thing. But when you're when you're talking to a grizzly bear of a man, he's probably fuck hiking poles. People do it. It's harder, but
I mean, also
good exercise.
At that distance, I really don't think you're going to see a hiking pole.
Well, not the hiking pole, but you'd see the arms outstretched, moving back and forth. That's
fair.
what I would be looking for. I wouldn't be looking for hiking poles. I wouldn't even be looking for snowshoes. I'd be looking for how the fucker's walking. Are his arms outstretched like he's holding a hiking pole, or holding snowshoes upright as hiking poles? That's what I'd be looking for, is the arms outstretched and moving. And not really seeing that. But then again, it's not like this thing's walking sideways compared to these people's position either. So given that this thing appeared to be kind of walking away from them, maybe on a little bit of a slant, that could easily be hard to tell. I'm very tall. I have very long arms. But at that distance, you'd be lucky to see my arms coming out, and I'm not going to be stretching my arms 100% out to dig those things in. You're going out, but you're still elbows bent. You're jabbing the shit in, and you're going.
You're keeping your center of gravity close to you.
Yeah. So I am not convinced at all.
No.
It's a fucking person, man. But keep the stories going. They're interesting, and you come across some that are very good. We looked at a Bigfoot video quite some time back. These people on the trail, and there was something in the bushes right there up the hill from them, like super close. And it was
throwing rocks at them.
That
literally
was
my favorite.
Well, no, there was a few different videos in that one, I think. And
the throwing of the rocks was my favorite.
This one where this thing like stood up from the bushes or something, and
gotcha.
It's like one like that's kind of almost convincing, but then again, where's the bodies?
Yeah.
Where's the bodies? And I'll point this fact out again, not to beat a dead horse. It could be fun to some people, but it's worth mentioning, especially when you're talking about this. You never know who you're reaching out to out there in YouTube land.
For brand new 1,200 subscribers.
Yeah, there's people who have studied or who study, life, biology out there in the wilderness and all this, and they're, for all intents and purposes, scientists, and they look at the stuff and do studies on it and run data and look at everything. And I have heard interviews with one particular person years ago, and he said it's basically not feasible. He goes, to have a society of these creatures, these alleged Bigfoots, around for as long as they've been talked about, he goes, you would need such a large population of them for them to continue to stay around and grow so that they're still around decades and decades and decades and decades later. You'd need such a large population of them that there's no way in hell we would not have found them by now. I mean, it was just recently in the last few years we find out, oh shit, there's microbial life living next to volcanic vents under the ocean. This toxic, gaseous shit coming out
Yeah.
of these vents underwater.
There's
It's
snails
super
that
hot.
live in the middle of fucking
Yeah.
volcanoes whose shells are literally made of iron.
Yeah, and it's
Ah.
super hot. It's submerged underwater.
Mhm.
It's toxic, and this shit's living.
Mhm.
And we can find that, but we just can't seem to find the elusive Bigfoot, who, just stays away from people.
Yeah.
Unless it's
Somehow,
nighttime, or unless cloaking with a blurry suit. So
Activate blur vision.
I'm not convinced.
I'm not
But
either.
the stories are interesting. You never know
Mhm.
what you're going to come across. So especially when you're out in the forest, 9,000 feet in the middle of Provo, Utah, who the hell knows, man? But on that note, if you happen to live in Provo and you know anything about this shit, or you've seen something you think could be a Bigfoot, especially if you have pictures, videos, there's the email, obscuredr1@gmail.com. Send us an email. Type story in the subject line and tell us your story. We'll tell it for you on here. If you want to come on the show, you can do that. Simple for you to do. You stay right where you are. You can even do it from your phone if you have to. Not a big deal. Pretty simple for you. You can come on, tell your own story. Any other stories as well? Obscure stories. You have a relative who had relatives of relatives of relatives who are from Atlantis or some long lost civilization. You have someone that snuck up to the tops of the pyramids in Egypt at night and looked at the inscriptions that are on top of the pyramids. That I don't know for sure, but I don't think we've been told about. Something. Shoot us the story. We'll tell it for you, or you can come on and do it yourself.
Interesting.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Yep, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
I definitely know
after
someone
we're
who's been
done
on
here.
the top of the pyramid too. So, yeah.
Well, I'll show you something then. All right. With that said, we're going to be out of here for tonight. Keep it safe. Stay away from those Bigfoots. And when you find Bigfoot poop, send it in.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.